Welcome to ActiveEdge. What if everything you thought you knew about blessings was wrong? For decades, millions of people have heard the same message from pulpits, TV screens, and now TikTok clips. If you pray boldly, give sacrificially, and declare your faith with confidence, God will repay you with wealth, health, and comfort. It's often summed up in that catchy phrase, name it, claim it. And honestly, it's easy to see why it resonates. The promise is simple. Believe, confess, give, and in return, you'll see visible proof of God's favor in your bank account, your career, or your health. For people struggling with bills, battling sickness, or just longing for a breakthrough, that kind of message feels less like theology and more like survival. Who wouldn't want faith to guarantee a better life? But here's the twist. That equation, faith equals material blessing, isn't as ancient or as universal as it might sound. The prosperity gospel really grew out of mid-20th century Pentecostal revivals and American self-help movements. Televangelists like Oral Roberts and later flashy TV preachers brought it to the mainstream, turning it into a global export. By the late 20th century, churches across Africa, Latin America, and Asia were echoing the same formula. And in societies where poverty, corruption, and instability weigh heavily, that formula sounded like hope. The catch, though, is that tying God's favor to wealth can backfire. If riches equal righteousness, what does that say about the poor? Are they simply faithless? Did God abandon them? Critics have long warned that this kind of preaching not only risks exploitation, it can shift blame onto those who are already struggling. And that's where an unlikely voice enters the picture. Captain Ibrahim Traoré, the young leader of Burkina, Faso. Now, he's not a pastor, and he's definitely not a theologian in the traditional sense. But his fiery speeches and unapologetic calls for dignity, justice, and self-reliance have intersected with religious conversations in fascinating ways. Traoré is known for being anti-colonial, for challenging Western influence, and for speaking to the everyday struggles of ordinary people. And in recent months, his name has been linked, sometimes in viral clips, with a bold rejection of the prosperity gospel. Now, let's be clear. Many of those viral videos showing him confronting famous televangelists are more symbolic than factual. They're edited, dramatized, and shared for maximum impact. But even if the clips aren't literal debates, they tap into something real. People are hungry for leaders who will call out a faith that seems to profit pastors more than the poor. So what is Traoré actually saying? In his verified speeches, the focus is on justice, dignity, and self-sufficiency. He's not dissecting Bible verses like a seminary professor. He's pushing people to reframe their priorities. Faith, in his view, isn't supposed to be a lottery ticket. It should be something that binds a community together, that helps feed the hungry, build schools, heal divisions, and protect the vulnerable. When translated into religious terms, it sounds like a direct rebuke of prosperity preaching. Don't. Make faith about personal fortune, make it about shared well-being, and that strikes a deeper chord, doesn't it? Because when you strip away the promises of luxury cars and miracle money, what's left is a faith that remembers the harder, richer parts of the Christian story: sacrifice, suffering, and solidarity. Think about it. In the prosperity gospel, suffering is often treated as a sign of weak faith. But in this alternative vision, suffering isn't a failure. It's a reality that draws people closer together. Faith becomes less about escaping pain and more about standing with each other through it. True abundance, then, isn't measured by square footage or a paycheck. It's measured in the strength of relationships, in communities that refuse to leave anyone behind. And this isn't just philosophy. Churches that move away from prosperity teaching often look very different. Instead of flashy promises, they invest in schools, clinics, and long-term development. They preach dignity for the poor, not shame. They build systems of mutual aid that help people survive economic storms together. For many believers, That shift is more liberating than any promise of quick riches. Of course, a message like this doesn't land the same way for everyone. Some Christians hear it and cheer. They see it as a return to the roots of the gospel, a call to love neighbor as yourself. Others, especially those in churches built on prosperity teaching, see it as a dangerous attack. They argue it minimizes the testimonies of people who really did experience financial or physical breakthroughs through prayer. And beyond the church walls, critics of Traore point out that a political leader might use this kind of rhetoric strategically, not only to critique religion, but also to consolidate his own authority. So, what does this all mean for the future of faith? If enough voices take this challenge seriously, we could see a dramatic shift. Imagine churches measuring their success not by the size of their buildings or the budgets of their pastors, but by how much they lift up their neighborhoods. Imagine sermons less about claiming blessings and more about repairing broken systems. Imagine believers who see their faith not as a ticket to personal gain, but as a calling to stand with the oppressed. That kind of shift could ripple far beyond religion. It could inspire new energy in the fight against inequality, corruption, and consumerism. It could even change how whole societies think about prosperity itself. But here's where it gets personal. Whether you agree with Traore or not, his presence forces each of us to wrestle with a tough question. What is faith really for? Is it just about securing our own comfort? Or is it about something bigger? A responsibility to our neighbors, a willingness to walk through suffering together, a commitment to justice even when it costs us something. In a world full of quick fixes and catchy promises, maybe real faith is slower, harder, and deeper. Maybe it's not about what we can get, but about what we can give, and who we can become in the process. So next time you hear someone promise that faith will make you rich, ask yourself, is that really the measure of God's blessing? Or is the true treasure something that can't be bought, can't be lost, and can't be measured in dollars at all? Because if Traore's challenge tells us anything, it's this: the greatest abundance might not be in prosperity, but in people, in the communities we build, the sacrifices we make, and the truth we live.